All right, well, 305 is around the corner, and I think it's time we admit that DDP is going to knock out Israel Adesanya. And I think he gets it done easily, first round. No doubt in my mind. All right. But in all seriousness, I think we can all admit that Dricus du Plessis has blown our expectations out of the way. Just real quick, we'll look at his record. A lot of people didn't think he would get past Darren Till. That was Fat Boy Darren Till. And he breezed through it, getting that submission. Derek Brunson, another former champion. Robert Whittaker. No one thought he was beating Whittaker. Not even the MMA guru. The biggest glazer of DDP thought he was going to get past Whittaker. And he knocks him out in round 2. Giga Chad, African-born champion, as you can clearly see. Trains in South Africa, which is the biggest definer between him and, the dog toucher. But I do think Dricus du Plessis is being slept on. I think he gets it done pretty easily. I don't think there's nowhere that he's beaten by Isreal. Now, if you want to say, well, Izzy's the man, he's going for another title run, blah, 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 blah. Here's a little update on Isreal. He just lost to Strickland. Okay. A year ago. Almost a year ago, actually. So he hasn't fought in a year. His record's fine. I don't care about his record. Now, the big problem is he's 35. Just saying. And 35 is typically the age where champions or former champions, they tend to lose their touch, we'll say. We can even see, real quick, Kamaru Usman. He's 37, alright? But he lost his title, I believe, at 35. Maybe it was 36, maybe it was edging 36. But yeah, it's not looking good. Not looking good for his age, And I know Pereira's around. Pereira's a different breed. He's Brazilian. He's not like a fake Nigerian. Just saying. But the big problem is that, yeah, he lost to Strickland. And Strickland is the fucking man that does the man dance, right? That's not even my biggest issue. My biggest issue with Isreal is that he doesn't beat Dricus anywhere. If you want to say Isreal has the better striking, I disagree. But you can say he has the better striking. Maybe he used to have the better striking. I could have agreed to that. But now I definitely don't. I think his striking is barely passable. And the reason why is that most of these striking fights, Strickland, he didn't win a single round. And I think the judges gave Isreal one round. We all know he didn't win a fucking round. Pereira, yeah, he got the knockout. Didn't win any of the rounds other than the knockout. And, yeah, he was winning on Pereira against Pereira's first title fight that year. First year being in the UFC, just saying. And he still ended up getting knocked out in the 5th. So we know he can choke a fight in the 5th. And we know, oh, shit. When the pressure's on, he doesn't win rounds, Biggest underdog in Israel's fighting career was Sean Strickland. And he choked. He didn't know what to do. He just got his ass beat for 5 rounds. And if you Isreal lovers want to say, oh, well, he got knocked down, and that affected the whole fight. Yeah, that's what a game plan is, You think Strickland's just randomly fucking throwing his hands in the air? No. Bro had a game plan. Bro was like, you know what? The moment he does this, I'm gonna punish him. And you know what? Isreal made a big mistake, and he got punished. That's how fighting goes. Bro got fucked up by Strickland. Unanimously. Cannonier did better. And I know it's like, oh, well, Isreal beat Cannonier, blah, blah, blah. Another issue I have with Isreal, he leaves it too close. This guy, I'm going to preface this right now. I'm not betting on any of these fights. I do not condone betting, and I do not gamble myself. Just saying. For anyone like, well, you have money on it. I don't bet on fights. I'm too broke for that. But, moving on. These 3 fights, right here, are a really terrible showcase. Outside of this loss, where he choked, which is one of the worst things you can do as a champion. And I say as a champion, because we all know Chael Sonnen never got submitted in the 5th round. He never choked that fight. That was just like some sort of AI generated shit at the time. They were testing it. We all know that. But yeah, he choked in this fight, and every other fight after that, after he choked, he's lost every round. Definitively. Not like, oh, it's kind of close. No, he's been slaughtered every round. And if we look before that, ooh, congrats, you got a decision against Cannonier. That fight was a lot closer than I think a lot of people remember. Did Isreal won it? Yeah. But a few of those rounds, if Cannonier did one or two things, that changes the whole fight. And I mean, like, you know, just threw out a jab a little bit more. Maybe shot for a takedown like people should be doing. Robert Whittaker, very close fight. Coin flip, some people say. I personally think it's just one of those 50-50 fights that DDP had. We'll get into that. Vettori 2. You did it unanimously. You got the decision, right? 100% you won that fight against Vettori. But the issue is Vettori's shit. He's barely top 15 if you didn't include his Crimson Chin. And then you lose to Jan Blachowicz, which we know what Pereira did to Jan Blachowicz. Score one for Pereira. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, you lost to Blachowicz, so you lost to the bigger guy. DDP is a massive middleweight, and I mean like a yoked middleweight. Maybe there's something a little fishy going on in the water over there or something in South Africa. Maybe us, you know, us fellow colored folks should go over to Africa and start training there, and maybe we'll get Giga Chad like DDP here. Also has a wife. Kisses his coach, a little suspect. But you know, I don't hate that. Anyways, I don't hate that about them. You know, it's a DDP special. But yeah, sure, he KO'd Paulo Costa 4 years ago. Wow, that aged like milk. Paulo Costa's never been the same, and he's just been shit. And realistically, before that, he wasn't even that good. He was just flawless. A lot of flawless fighters, like Steve Erceg, like Ilya Taporia, they look amazing until they get to like one fighter, and then it's like a close decision or whatever. Or their skill set is just like not actually what we thought it was. You know, Ilya Taporia is a little bit different, but Steve Erceg just couldn't handle the grappling of Pantoja. Other fighters like Gamrot, I don't think Gamrot was flawless. Maybe not Gamrot. Fuck, who else is another? You get my point. There's flawless fighters that come up in the UFC and they get to a certain level. Oh, great example, Lerone Murphy. That guy's getting fraud checked. His next top 5 fight, 100%. Lerone Murphy sucks, and he just barely beat Edson Barbosa. Edson Barbosa literally turned off his brain that whole fight. Adrian Yanez couldn't handle Rob Font, which is like Yanez was the supposed to be younger fighter. You know, so a lot of that happens. I don't rate this win at all because you knocked out someone 4 years ago, and the guy has he even won a UFC fight since then? Probably not. Who did he beat? Like Luke Rockhold, and then he went on a 3-year vacation? Wow, bro. Wow. Good gamer. Or sorry, good fighter. But yeah, no. I think they're shit. You know, his last good win is truly the Robert Whittaker KO, in my opinion. Yoel Romero, close fight, and that was 4 years ago. Jan Blachowicz lost. Paulo Costa, you showed up with a boob and you knocked him out. Congrats. And he was drunk the night before. Congrats, bro. Marvin Vettori, you beat. Okay, congrats. Anyone can, as long as, you know... Actually, anyone can beat Marvin Vettori. He'll literally stand in front of you, just in a guard, and just eat shots to the chin. Anyone can beat Vettori. Fuck, I'd pick Shara Bullet to beat Vettori. Anyways, Cannonier also kind of aged like milk. I mean, we just saw what Amavov did to Cannonier, you know? And this was only 2 years ago. Decision with Cannonier, 5 rounds. Amavov is shit. Let me just make this... Amavov is terrible. Amavov is only slightly better than Roman Dolidze in the striking. And I mean only slightly. The ground game's not even fucking close. Roman Dolidze clears him. But, you know, Roman Dolidze lacks an IQ. Amabov suffers from emotion. His IQ is pretty decent, but his like emotional levels, like if he gets hit too much, he just like looks like he baby rages, or he just like doesn't fight. You know, it's just weird. But Amabov is shit in my opinion, and he just knocked out Cannonier. Now I don't agree with the stoppage, you know, but a few more shots that would have been like Cannonier flatlined. Cannonier was wobbled pretty bad. Izzy never did that to Cannonier. It actually was a snooze fest the whole fight. If Cannonier just decided to wrestle a little bit more, maybe threaten a submission or two, this whole fight would be, you know, moved over. Of course, it's a what if. I know you don't want to believe what ifs. I get it. But that's personally my take. Loses to Pereira and chokes it in the 5th round. Loses every round in Pereira and throws a strike while not even looking and just hope it lands, and it did, because Pereira was drained at middleweight and fucking, you know, got knocked out, is what it is. And then you lose every round to Strickland. Now, here's the thing. If you won 2 rounds definitively against Strickland, and Strickland, you know, won 3-2, I'd be like, oh wow, you know, kind of close. But Strickland dropped you in round 1. Pretty shit. Strickland doesn't draw people often, and when he does, it kind of speaks to your chin going away. Just saying. Just saying. I don't even think Paulo Costa got dropped at the end. Or did he get dropped at the end? I know he was running away. But a lot of people who fight Strickland basically want the fight to be boring, so they can just say the fight was boring. But almost when you fight Strickland, you almost like guarantee a loss, because he's going to be in your face, jabbing your fucking head off. And the only way to beat Strickland is by like accepting that you're going to be in constant pain in the face when you're like plodding forward against Strickland, and then mixing up a bunch of things, because Strickland decides to only strike, and that's why his scorecards look pretty bad, because he doesn't decide to go for takedowns or back takes. If he did, he'd win a lot more, and he'd be a much more complete fighter, but he just decides to strike. And just the striking battle of Strickland beat your ass, and now we move over, and you're 35. Like, you're just getting old, buddy, for fighting. And we move over to Dricus du Plessis. Now, I don't think Dricus du Plessis is the next GSP. I don't think he's the next John Jones. I don't think that at all. Do I think he has potential to be a double champ? Sure. Do I think he has potential to get at least 3 or 4 title wins? Possibly. And I say that because, arguably, outside of Strickland proving that he's a beast, Robert Whittaker is the only one in middleweight that really speaks the level of, oh, that guy's 100% going to be a champion one day. Because Robert Whittaker was a champion one day. Derek Brunson isn't in the UFC. Darren Till isn't in the UFC. And a lot of these are either former title contenders, or they're former title holders. Formal title holders, right? Or contenders. Sorry, I don't know what's wrong with my brain today. But that's the thing with a lot of middleweights now. None of them are really champion level material. And Isreal kind of proved that by beating all the bums. Like, Cannonier's not championship level. Vittori's not championship level. Costa's nowhere near championship level. Romero's not even in the UFC. Gaslam's nowhere near championship level, right? None of these are championship level. Whittaker's the only one that's, like, proven to be championship level after that wicked KO on Ikram Aliskerov. Maybe Hamzat can prove that by getting a dominant win over Whittaker. But I think right now, Whittaker's like the only other one other than Strickland in terms of title talks. And DDP has a win against both. So he's beat 2 people who have either held the title or are former title contenders, right? That's huge. That's pretty big. You can say what you want about Isreal, but none of these guys, other than Pereira, of course, none of these guys below Pereira are championship level or were ever championship level. Ever. I guess Jan Blachowicz, light heavyweight, different story. Whittaker, I don't rate that. I literally don't count this because it's a 50-50. And the reason why I'm focusing more on Whittaker than Strickland with DDP is because, while, yes, he did beat Sean Strickland, personally, I think that's a 50-50 fight. You can say the same about Robert Whittaker. I think this time it's the Robert Whittaker wrestler who mixed it up that won, instead of the title contender who won. To be fair, Sean Strickland was way more damaged than Isreal was, but it's kind of harder to tell because of skin tone. Just saying. A little bit of an advantage to certain people. Just saying. But anyways, yeah, I think DDP just like smokes him. You know, wrestling, I think DDP has the advantage. Grappling, like jiu-jitsu, whatever you want to say, fucking sambo, trips, whatever. I think DDP is gonna showcase at least 1 or 2 takedowns, or he's gonna, you know, in the later rounds, maybe. At the very least, you have to accept the fact that DDP is capable of just shooting a takedown on Isreal and getting it at the end of every round. You know who just did that? Umar Nurmagomedov. At 1 minute or 30 seconds of every round, he shot a takedown on Corey. And you know what? He won the fight. Did Corey have a great performance? No. But that's exactly how I see DDP handling this. The only difference is that not only can he do that at the end of every single round if he wants to, and basically steal the round as far as the judges' scorecards, whether you want to say Isreal's up on the striking or not, it all comes down to the scorecards, and if a judge sees, oh, he just got a takedown, and there's a minute left, he's lying on top, that's gotta be his round. That's how every judge sees it, that's how they always see it. So DDP has the advantage there. If we want to talk about power, the last guy that was a decent knockout from Isreal Adesanya was Paulo Costa. Other than that, we have 4 straight decisions and a KO on Pereira. Right here. Congrats! You KO'd Pereira. The guy who's literally known for not having a great chin. Even in light heavyweight, his chin's decent, but he still gets touched up a lot. You know? And maybe you're thinking is that like, oh, well, if light heavyweights can't touch him, then, you know, fucking Isreal can... Isreal's the only guy who's knocked out Pereira as far as the light heavyweights go. That's true. But I think the key difference is that this is a really unique, like, Pereira, brain dead, dropped his hands, ate a shot, and then went right back at it, and then got fucking KO'd again. We've all seen it. We know it. That's one of Isreal's best highlight KOs, and that's the only one he's ever going to get, because after this fight, he's going to retire after losing to Dricus du Plessis. You know? So in terms of power, Dricus du Plessis has more. I'd argue he has more. He might not have dropped Strickland, but he sure as shit cut the fuck out of his face. There was a cut, I think it was above the eyebrow, or it was near the eyebrow line. That caused a major factor in just blood constantly going into fucking Strickland's eye. I think there was a few more things there. And if we want to talk about, like, here's my thing with striking. If you want to say old Isreal, or young Isreal Adesanya was a better striker, I'm not going to disagree. I haven't watched every single fight of young Isreal Adesanya before championship and everything. But I'm going to say right now, I think his striking is dog shit. I think it's terrible. And the only way he wins is by Chito Vera-ly winning fights. Waiting to find a finish, and then getting the finish. But outside of that finished round, he loses every single round. And you can disagree, but it's been like that for 2 years. Nearly 3, right? July... No. Kind of like 2.5 years. He's just been... I'm gonna lose this round, and then get a victory, you know? I don't like to see that from any fighter, especially when Dricus du Plessis has a decent chin. I don't think he has the greatest chin. He doesn't have a Marvin Vettori chin at all. He's been knocked out before, you know? I've seen this knockout. It was kind of a nasty knockout, to be fair, as well. And he's been submitted. Am I worried that Isreal could ever submit Dricus du Plessis? Not in this lifetime. Am I worried that Isreal could knock out Dricus du Plessis? Not really. I mean, he showed up with a boob and knocked out Paulo Costa, and that was it. And he knocked out a light heavyweight champion because he was draining himself to middleweight. It'd probably be the same result, honestly, if like Yuri went to middleweight. He'd be too thin, and there wouldn't be enough fucking water in his brain, and he'd just get his brain rattled. It happens, you know? But Dricus so far has just been on a tear. I think he's a modern age fighter. The only bad thing I have for Dricus is his cardio. And I don't mean necessarily that his cardio is bad, because he did go 5 rounds with Sean Strickland, which I actually think is a really big accomplishment. and having put pressure on Sean Strickland. Very big accomplishment, since Izzy could never. But Dricus du Plessis has this thing where he looks tired, but he's never tired, you know? If you've ever trained before, it's like getting to that max time where you're like, fuck, I'm tired, and your coach is constantly saying, you know, like, let's say, you know, you just did 10 jabs, 10 crosses, and whatever, and then the moment you're done, you're like, holy fuck, I need to sit down, I'm too tired. You know, you're expecting to sit down, and then your coach is like, alright, now we're doing leg kicks, 30 leg kicks, right now, and he basically fucking... And he forces you to basically stand up and just do more shit, you know? That's what he looks like. He just looks tired all the time. But I don't think he has a cardio problem. He's never going to quit. He's never going to quit on himself on the ground. He's never going to quit on himself in the cardio department. He just looks tired, you know? And I think that'll give Izzy a false sense of security. Even in round 1, DDP looks a little tired. So I think Isreal's going to be like, no, I can take my advantage. This is my shot, you know? And then he's going to try to get a nice fucking jab going or whatever, and then he's going to get caught right on the chin, and he's going to get knocked out cold. And we're going to finally see the dog Diddler knocked out on the canvas. I think it'll happen, you know? And... yeah, as far as the striking goes, I don't even see where Isreal can win. If we want to talk about technique, I'd even argue DDP's technique is better. Not in terms of, like, how clean it looks, but DDP has this weird thing where it looks sloppy, but it works. And I think that was showcased on Robert Whittaker, you know? It looks very sloppy, low level, but maybe it's just the right amount of level to get these guys overthinking, so you just do something simple, you know, and do a straight right or straight left down the pipe, you know? DDP's got good hooks. He's even throwing fucking, like, close to range head kicks on Sean Strickland, and landing them flush, I might add. I feel like no one ever mentions that. Sean Strickland literally ate a head kick from fucking pinpoint accuracy, or from fucking close combat range, literally like a foot in front of him. DDP throws up a head kick, it lands cleanly. Sean Strickland brushed it off, but I think if that lands on Isreal, it puts him to sleep. 35, he's not in his prime. Dricus has the age advantage. There's that whole, like, 60% of the time younger fighter wins shit. And then there's that, when you own the belt, I think there's some sort of statistic that only, like, 3 or 4 people in the UFC has ever defended the belt. Or sorry, won the belt being older. Something like that. I can't remember. But regardless of those statistics and everything, I don't think Isreal wins in any... There's nothing he can do. The only thing he can do to win is by hoping he gets a good opportunity on Dricus du Plessis. I don't think that happens because Dricus isn't brain dead, and he will shoot takedowns at the end of rounds to secure rounds. I think it's that simple, you know? And if you're getting dropped by Strickland, let me just make this clear. You got dropped by Strickland. Your chin's gone. I'm sorry, your chin's gone. If you get dropped by Strickland, your chin's gone. Strickland has no power. His real sort of thing with his striking is that it just hurts, because I think his knuckles are just really hard. Similar to like how Tom Aspinall drenches his knuckles in gasoline to make them harder. I think Strickland's fucking hands have probably broken so much that his knuckles are just naturally harder than anyone else's. So that's why it always hurts much, much more. And that's why we see a little bit more damage and like pop back from when Sean Strickland lands a jab. But yeah, and how can you defend this guy when he diddles dogs and makes his girlfriend do shit like this? Like, are we living on different planets here? This guy was literally on camera jerking off his own dog. Are we just forgetting that part? So yeah, I want to see Izzy lose. I think he's a shit fighter. I think he's a terrible human being. Fake African, doesn't train in Africa. I know there's that stupid fucking clip people use of, oh, well, Isreal actually did go back to Africa with the belt. Okay, you went back to Africa with the belt. You didn't train in Africa to earn any sort of... You didn't train in Africa at all while having the belt. That's like Dricus du Plessis' whole point. Nor did you train in Africa to get the belt. It's, you know, congrats, you brought it back to your country. That's like if, imagine if me, the white Chad I am, alright, if I went to England, and I won a fucking title belt. No, let's say the Guru goes to America, wins the title belt, and brings it back to England, and then says, oh, well, you know, I'm the English-born champion. Yeah, but you didn't win that belt because you trained in England. You won it because you trained in America. I think even he would agree with that. Fucking false fraud. Anyways. But yeah. Also, I couldn't find the clip, but DDP's funny, man. You know? Isreal will just say, like, a bunch of random shit. Yeah, whatever that means. Yeah. He's funny, he's good, he's a white man, so I love him. No, I'm playing, I'm joking, obviously. But yeah, that's my prediction. Dricus du Plessis by round 1 KO, and if the KO doesn't happen, I think it's guaranteed DDP's in the win. Only because he beats Isreal everywhere, and I think I went pretty thorough on why I think that. Yeah. Moving on, to get to the next card, I'm going to speed through them because I don't really care too much. Kai Kara-France, Steve Erceg. I think Steve wins. Kai Kara-France is just inconsistent. Steve Erceg is at the very least consistent so far. Gamrot versus Dan Hooker. I actually think Hooker's going to win. I think he's going to get a KO. I think Gamrot, he gets rocked and wobbled pretty bad in every fight. And I think Hooker still has that pop, even though he's a little older. So I think we're going to see Hooker win and then Isreal lose, which is a little... I think it's kind of funny. That's how I think that's... Ty versus Jairzinho. I think it's going to be a DQ. I think Tai Tuivasa is going to get hit in the back of the head by Jairzinho, because Jairzinho is not the smartest and the brightest of the bunch. And I think it's going to be a disqualification on either part. Either Tai Tuivasa lands on the back of the head of Jairzinho and gets disqualified, or Jairzinho lands on the back head of Tai Tuivasa and gets disqualified. That's my personal prediction. And then Li Jingliang, Carlos Prates. I think Prates, just because Lee just hasn't been the same ever since that Hamzat fight. Kind of sucks for his career, is what it is. Walter Walker beats Junior Tafa. Junior Tafa is just shit. He's a worse version of Justin Tafa. And he can't take leg kicks to save his life. So I think Walter Walker needs to land one leg kick and then shoot a takedown, and then he wins. Culibao versus Ricardo. I'm picking Culibao. If I remember, Culibao actually has like a decent record here. Right, he lost to Lerone Murphy. Interesting. Ooh. Never mind. Josh Culibao loses. Yeah. I think Josh Culibao gets... Who is it again? Ricardo. Oh, I remember Ricardo. He just came off a submission, right? Yeah. Yeah, against... Or no, he got... I can't pick either of these. I don't give a fuck. Fucking joke fight. I'm picking Ricardo. I think Ricardo gets it done by decision. After a close fight. They're both shit. I don't care. Casey O'Neill, Luana Santos. I'm picking... I don't have a coin. Fuck. Alright, I'm flipping this Lego piece. Studs up, it's Luana. Studs down, it's Casey. What do we get? Studs down. Alright, that's Casey, I think. Alright, Casey wins. Casey wins by decision, 29-28. Jack Jenkins, Herbert Burns. Jack Jenkins obviously gonna win. Herbert Burns, he's not a fighter. He's just Gilbert Burns' brother, and he thinks he can get a bigger paycheck because of that in the UFC. Tom Nolan, Alex Reyes. Tom Nolan wins. I think he gets it done probably first round. Maybe KO. Alex Reyes, he hasn't fought in like 6 years, I think. something like that, 5-6 years. Alex Reyes is shit. And he's just coming from like a different era of fighting. So I think Tom Nolan gets it done, no problem. Song Kanan, Ricky Glenn. Ricky Glenn has no fight in him, going up a weight class after I think you just got knocked out by Drew Dober. Kind of not embarrassing to get knocked out by Drew Dober, but you're moving up to welterweight for no reason. Song Kanan, I think, is going to win. Had a tough-ish fight with Ian Gary. I think he's the guy who knocked down Ian Gary. Jesus Aguilar versus Stuart Nikolai. Has this guy never fought ever? KO submissions. I'd like to see that. Against who? Interesting. You know what? I'm going with Jesus Aguilar, because I remember Jesus Aguilar. He just came off the Mexican card, and he got a decision against Mateus Mendonca, and I think Mateus Mendonca is pretty decent for unranked. But yeah, those are my predictions, basically. But yeah, I just wanted to drill into you guys. DDP's winning. He's winning by knockout first round, and if not, he's gonna win no matter what, because Isreal Adesanya is an old man who's a dog toucher. And he got knocked down, let's not forget, by Sean Strickland, because he ate 1 bowl of cereal instead of 2. So, you know, in the event that he doesn't eat a bowl of cereal for breakfast, I think, DDP is probably gonna fucking spinning wheel kick KO him. But, you know, I think it's most likely gonna be a jab to put him down. I think it's gonna be a counter jab after Isreal does something that he thinks is sneaky. For probably 3 minutes of him just holding his head like this against the cage, just like, please don't hurt me, I'm 35, please don't hurt me, I want to go diddle dogs, you know? Yeah, I think he just gets knocked out, personally. That's my take. But yeah, if you made it to the end, thank you, for watching. If you, agree with any of my picks, you know, comment down below the ones you disagree with. And then just know that I'm right and you're wrong. And then yeah, as always, I hope you have a good day.